Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. The very first month of the Islamic calendar is the month of Muharram. And the month of Muharram is significant because of a very special day, which is the 10th day of the month of Muharram, which is called Ashura. And it has a very fascinating story behind it from the life of the Prophet ﷺ. When the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims arrived into the city of Medina, they found that the Jewish community there used to fast on that day. And when they inquired why they would fast on that day, they said because that is the day that we fast to commemorate when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rescued Musa alayhi salam and Bani Israel from the clutches of Fir'aun and the oppressors. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala split the sea for them and they were able to safely pass, and then Fir'aun and his army was drowned. And the Prophet ﷺ made a very beautiful comment at that, where he said, "Nahnu awla bi Musa minhum, nahnu ahaqqu bi Musa minhum." We have more of a connection to the Prophet Musa alayhi salam than they do. So the Prophet ﷺ recommended to the Muslims that they should also fast on that day. And from that point on forward, it became a practice, a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that he would fast on the 10th day of Muharram. And the Prophet ﷺ said that this is such a beautiful, remarkable day of fasting, that whoever fasts on that day, all their sins of the previous year shall be forgiven. And the Prophet ﷺ recommended this fast, he kept it himself, and the Muslims continued to do so. However, there's an added layer to it. And the Prophet ﷺ said, to make our fasting distinct from the fasting that other community does, the Prophet ﷺ recommended that we also fast the day before or the day afterwards. So the 9th day of Muharram and then the 10th, or we fast on the 10th day of Muharram and the 11th. And so while it would still be rewarding and it would result in the sins being forgiven for the previous year if somebody fasts just on the 10th, but the Prophet ﷺ recommended that we also fast the day before or the day afterwards. Wallahu ta'ala alam bis-sawab. At the same time, it's very important for us to also acknowledge and to talk about and remember, because of our love for the Prophet ﷺ and how we heed the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ told us to love his family and to be good to his family. In the month of Muharram, the day of Ashura, also marks one of the greatest tragedies that has ever occurred in the history of Islam, in the history of the world. And that was the brutal massacre of the family of the Prophet ﷺ, including the beloved grandson of the Prophet ﷺ, Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, at the place of Karbala. So we also remember that tragic event of that day. And may Allah's peace and blessings be upon the family of the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah be pleased with them. And we remember that terrible tragedy and the great sacrifice that they made in order to stand for justice and in order to stand for what is right and what is correct. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our fasting. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect and help the entire ummah. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.